Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. It was indeed a tropical scene. There were feathers, beads, masks, crowns, glitter, and sparkles. But most of all, lots of bright smiles and an overall good time. St. Thomas Carnival 2013 came to an end on Saturday. Here's a recap of the children's and adults parades. It was indeed a tropical theme. Many used lots of beads, feathers, masks, and dance to liven the party up. Starting with the royalty during the children's parade on Friday, a few words of wisdom from the Grand Marshal, and then all the show-stopping performances commenced. Then it was time for the adults to shine on Saturday with the adults parade. We saw majorettes, clowns, Indians, mukajumbis, Zulus, troops, flutes, and floats. All the fun came to an end with the traditional Indians taking it out with the drum beats.
We want to say thank you to all the troops, all the sponsors, and all the participants in the adult parade for Carnival 2013.
It's also a carnival tradition, the last lap beach party on Magens Bay Beach every year on the Sunday after the Saturday adults parades and fireworks. Hundreds of carnival participants and spectators spill onto the sand for the Steel Pan Tramp, led by the members of the Territorial Court Rising Stars Youth Steel Orchestra. The large group surrounded the small Pan Around the Neck troupe as its members danced. And if you're looking for the winners, here are the official results from the VI Carnival Committee. In the children's parade, troops under 50, the Caribbean Ritual Dancers won. First runner-up, Sun Children presents local sweets and treats. Troops over 50, the winner was Joseph Gomez Elementary Gems in Paradise. Fluke winner, Academy presents Unity Under the Sun. Majorettes winner, the St. Thomas Majorettes. The first runner-up, Sebastian Majorettes and the marching band in the traditional section. The winners are the traditional Indians. Now, in the adults parade, troops under 50, the winner, Caribbean Ritual Dancers. First runner-up, the Jesters Carnival Troupe presents A Hibiscus Fantasy. Second runner-up was Party Lovers, troops 50 to 100. The winner was What's a Party Carnival Troupe. First runner-up, University of the Virgin Islands. Second runner-up, Bobby and the Moo-Moos. Now, troop over 100. The winner in that category is the Gypsy Troupe as they present Gypsy's Medical Seed. Fluke under 100. The winner is Elsko and Associates as they present Quick Crack. Fluke 300 and over. The winner was Hug a Bunch as they presented Tahitian Splendor for Majorettes Sebastian Majorette's shine. Traditional winner was the St. Thomas Tropical Masqueraders. First runner-up, Traditional Indians. Now that music you hear in the background is the Carnival Road March. The musical composition played most often at the judging points along the parade route. And here's a little clip from the video of the Road March winners, Wake Up to Walk Up by Spectrum Band. Congratulations to Spectrum Band. Meanwhile, in other Carnival news, 3 persons were injured during Juve early Thursday morning. According to police, a 23, 25, and 27-year-old were shot just outside the Edward Blyden Marine Terminal, forcing an early close to the Juve just after 9 a.m. Governor John P. DeYoung Jr. denounced the violence and says police are still investigating.
The incidents that have taken place earlier in the week and what culminated with the shooting of these 3 individuals, it's very clear to me that we had to make this sort of decision. It had to be decisive and it had to be fast. And I compliment the commissioner for doing it right away, based on the information we have that this was not a random act, that this was a targeted and it was retaliatory for what's been taking place between 2 neighborhoods in our community. What's taking place is just completely unacceptable.
Meanwhile, the Senate's Committee on Homeland Security, Justice, and Public Safety met again to receive testimony relative to criminal activity and ways to enhance safety. The hearing comes on the heels of several incidents that we just mentioned of crime during Carnival season, also sparking an executive order by Governor DeYoung. News2's Erica Bivens reports.
There comes a point when you have so less that you can't do any more. I believe we have arrived at that juncture.
Speaking before the Senate Committee on Homeland Security, Justice, and Public Safety, Lieutenant Milton Peterson addressed several challenges facing the department, namely a shortage of men and women in uniform.
I am calling for emergency action to be taken to repair the organizational structure within the Virgin Islands Police Department. We need police captains, police lieutenants, and police sergeants in order to have structure and accountability in place to meet the consent decree mandates.
In our contract, we have sufficient manpower is 4. For the last month, we have had less than 4 on the streets of these Virgin Islands. We have them break up into parts where we have officers that work in town, country, and Bordeaux. So you're talking about less than 4 officers on a road from 7 to 3, 3 to 11, and 11 to 7.
Funding was the root of most concerns, from salaries to equipment to vehicles. Agency heads also had an opportunity to respond.
I happen to know that the commissioner have entered the salary increases to this fiscal year budget for the union, for the sergeants and above. I am happy to report that we just got a complement of 27 vehicles in St. Croix yesterday.
And St. Thomas vehicles will be arriving within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Commissioner-designee Corrad has allotted certain monies to fill those positions, captains, lieutenants, sergeants, to help with the supervisory structure to deal with the consent decree.
There's going to have to be some tough decisions made to procure and identify the funding to outfit the officers with all of the gears that they need for this changing inmate population. No longer do we have the days of older inmates just want to do the time.
Today's hearing follows recent shootings that shut down 2 Carnival events early. Violence also prompted Governor DeYoung to sign an executive order forcing bars to close early.
So I've suspended that in the interest of public safety, and they have to stop selling at 4 a.m. instead of 6 a.m.
That order remains in effect through midnight tonight. However, other legislation may be forthcoming from the Senate. For News 2, I'm Erica Bivens.
Meanwhile, before the Adults' Day Carnival Parade kicked off, a group of concerned citizens marched the route with an anti-violence message. About 10 residents wore white T-shirts during the Carnival Peace Walk, holding signs filled with positive messages as well as a call to end violence and encourage books over guns. Walkers included members from the VI Mothers Against Guns and Jason Carroll Memorial Fund, Family Resource Center, My Brother's Workshop, Senator Clarence Payne, and St. Thomas Road Runners. Despite the heavy rain Saturday on St. Croix, members of the community supported the VIPD's Anti-Bullying Fun Day. The Family Fun Day kicked off with an anti-bullying march from Plaza West to Complex High School field, where the Fun Day was set up. Youth and community groups marched against bullying before watching different presentations. There was free food, music, and lots of events. The Fun Day was hosted by VIPD's Crime Prevention Unit, along with CTEC, VI chapter of the Tuskegee Airmen, Christian Men Retreat Fellowship Ministries, and American Legion Post 102. St. Thomas police made several recent arrests. 20-year-old Jamie Robert and 21-year-old Clement were both arrested Saturday for robbery after they were identified as the ones who assaulted a 17-year-old in February before robbing the victim's phone. 57-year-old Terrence Anthony was arrested Thursday and charged with domestic violence after he hit his adult nephew with a machete during a dispute the same day. An unidentified man was arrested for indecent exposure Thursday morning. Police found him on the waterfront, but he didn't have an ID. Officers took him to the hospital for treatment after he became very aggressive with them. We'll turn our attention stateside. Charlotte, North Carolina Mayor Anthony Fox will become the 17th Secretary of Transportation, replacing outgoing Secretary Ray LaHood. Fox is the only African American selected for a cabinet opening in Obama's second term.
I am humbled and honored to be your nominee for Secretary of Transportation. As mayor, I know two things. First, over the last 4 years, cities have had no better partners than you, Mr. President, and you, Mr. Secretary, Ray LaHood. You have drawn the admiration and appreciation of America's mayors, particularly Secretary LaHood, for your astute vision and no-nonsense approach, and that of your entire team. If confirmed, I will do my absolute best to uphold the standards you have set at the U.S. Department of Transportation. The second thing I know is that there is no such thing as a Democratic or Republican road, bridge, port, airfield, or rail system. We must work together across party lines to enhance this nation's infrastructure. Mr. President, I look forward to engaging with members of Congress on both sides of the aisle during the confirmation process. If confirmed, I will work with you, with Congress, with states, local governments, and of course the great team at the U.S. Department of Transportation to keep the wheels of our national renewal turning. Thank you again for your confidence in me, Mr. President. Thank you.
Meanwhile, keeping our eye on the economy, New York could become the first state to raise the minimum age to buy cigarettes to 21. Lawmakers are taking their cue from New York City, which set a hearing on the proposal for this week. Proponents say the measure is aimed at preventing young people from developing the smoking habit. A similar proposal is on hold in Texas. This is the New York Stock Exchange, Scotiabank Stock Market Watch. The Dow, NASDAQ, S&P all up. The Dow 106, NASDAQ 27, S&P 11. Coming up on News2, what caused the fire in the second floor of the Little Switzerland jewelry store and offices on Main Street? We hear from the VI Fire Service. We'll be right back. Firefighters on St. Thomas spent much of Sunday night and Monday morning working to extinguish a fire that broke out on the second floor of the Little Switzerland jewelry store on Main Street. Fire investigators are trying to determine the cause and origin of a blaze, and that cause of the fire is still under investigation. Darrell George, who's the Fire Service Assistant Director, spoke to News2 about the fire.
The fire is contained to this structure. No one was hurt. We had 14 firefighters last night, and we have 9 firefighters today fighting this fire. We have the second floor of the building that was totally damaged. The bottom had major water damage. The two other buildings also had water and smoke damage.
And we'll keep you updated. Several weeks after Governor DeYoung announced that Hovenza's owners had come to an agreement to sell the refinery, that agreement still hasn't been signed. That means the sales process will be delayed a little bit longer. News2's Erica Parsons has more.
3 weeks ago, Government House's blog said that Hovenza's owners agreed to sell the refinery, and senators of the 30th legislature had been briefed. Now it seems the agreement that was supposed to govern the sales process of the South Shore refinery has hit a snag. An inquiry by the Daily News into whether or not the document had been signed off on revealed that not all of the key players have given the go-ahead, which means it can't be submitted to the Senate for ratification yet. The sales process can't begin until the Senate reviews and approves the document. If and when they do so, that process can't take more than 14 months from that date. Government House spokesperson John Griot told the Daily News that the government had fully signed off on the agreement, but not all of Hovenza's owners had. Hovenza is equally shared between Hess Oil and PDVSA VI out of Venezuela, and Government House said they're not aware of where the holdup lies. Although the agreement won't be released to the public until it's fully signed, Government House did provide some details, which include that Hovenza will have storage available for sufficient fuels for St. Croix through August 2019, or so long as Hovenza is an oil storage terminal. They will make fuel available to the government and public at its truck rack through March next year, and they will invest annually in career and technical scholarship programs so long as Hovenza is the owner. The VI government has agreed to suspend Hovenza's obligation to bid on the WAPA fuel supply and to reduce their obligation for payment to $7 million annually beginning October while they're operating an oil storage terminal until 2019, after which time it will return to $14 million a year. Erica Parsons, News 2.
Now calls to Hovenza spokesperson Alex Moorhead were not returned before news time. Stick around, your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.